In Baz Luhrmann's Moulin Rouge, there's a scene where Ewan McGregor's character Christian sings Elton John's Your Song to Nicole Kidman's character Satine. It's early in the film, and it's a scene that's pivotal to their relationship arc. The scene's memorable to me because the more I look at it, the more I realize how powerful Nicole's acting is by listening well to Ewan's character. I don't think Nicole says one word during the entire musical performance at all, maybe until the end. So her whole performance is registered through subtle facial expressions and body language. So heads up, for the scene analysis, I'm using screen caps from the actual scene instead of the footage so there aren't any copyright claim issues. If you haven't seen Moulin Rouge, I recommend watching this scene and the entire film. When looking at scenes, I've learned a lot from Judith Weston's book, Directing Actors. One of her techniques involves looking at an individual scene and identifying each character's objective as an action. What does character A want to get from character B that can be defined as an action? This turns ideas and attitudes into behavior and visible relationships on camera. In this scene, Ewan's character Christian wants to get approval from Nicole's character Satine. That's his objective as an action. He's been sent into a meeting with Satine, guided by his artist pals, to secure favor as Satine thinks he is a rich duke who could fund productions at the Moulin Rouge. Through a few beats of comedic happenings, Christian ends up singing verses from Your Song at first because he's trying to prove to Satine that he can write poetry after being goaded by her. He's covering in the moment, hiding the fact that he actually isn't a duke but a penniless poet. But he still wants to win her approval and get out of this situation without being discovered as a fake. If Christian's action is to win approval from Satine, his expressions, his body language, and performance will be directed in an appealing way to her. It's magnificent that Baz Luhrmann puts this in a musical number where Christian is singing to Satine, so his emotive performance is driven by that quality. You can see this at the top of the scene where he sings the first lyrics of the song solely for Satine. I think the scene's emotional center is Satine realizing that she can love this man genuinely, not as a farce, and also to be loved in return. This is a revelation for her, and it opens up her heart. As a courtesan in the Moulin Rouge, she has seduced many men and played a role, never revealing her true heart or being vulnerable to a man with her genuine emotions. Satine dreams of becoming a real actress one day, and that's her ultimate life goal. The film also quotes later on, "The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and to be loved in return." While looking at Ewan McGregor's performance as Christian, I could see his character also realizing that he's also letting his genuine feelings about love and his burgeoning love for Satine come out. He's not just playing a role, pretending to be the rich duke. After he sings "How wonderful life is, now you're in the world," he actually turns away from Satine. That's an interesting choice. He keeps singing, he's looking outside the window. I was wondering what could be the subtext in this moment. I think Christian is realizing that he's not playing a game anymore. He's actually experiencing what it feels like to fall in love for the first time, and he's turning away to collect himself and his thoughts. I thought of this because Christian eventually turns away from the window and looks back to Satine. He's more confident, more sure of himself and his emotions. The camera then makes small moves as he and Satine readjust in their staging and look towards each other. This is a moment where the two lovers are drawing closer to each other physically and emotionally. The way Satine is looking at Christian is fascinating because she sees something real and genuine in his eyes. Once again, body language comes into play as Satine turns away from Christian, heading toward the archway in the window. But Christian doesn't let her leave. He moves, keeps singing, and finds a new position to continue singing the verses. When he sings, "You see, I've forgotten if they're green or they're blue," Satine reacts in a wonderful way. She's blushing, blinking, and tilting her head in reaction. I think at this point in the scene, both characters are genuinely feeling and living out their emotions, letting down their guard, although Satine still thinks he is a duke. And when Christian takes Satine's hand, looks down at her fingers, and returns to looking into her eyes, it's an escalating romantic moment punctuated by his verses. "Yours are the sweetest eyes I've ever seen." And they go into this dance moment, and the camera moves and transitions them to a new setting. For the rest of the scene, Christian continues to sing to Satine in a fantasy setting, high up in the clouds over a moonlit Paris. The scene really works because of Nicole Kidman's performance to listen and react well. It makes the emotional center of the scene vibrant and visible. Moulin Rouge posits that the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and to be loved in return. I think if we dig further into this idea, it reveals that we as humans aren't meant to be alone. We discover deeper meaning in life through intimate relationships where genuine sacrificial love is at the center. Even the use of Elton John's song, Your Song, in the scene hints at the impact of one human life. Christian is singing to Satine, "How wonderful life is, now you're in the world." Is this what gives human life meaning? That we love one another and are loved in return? These are fascinating questions that I think are worth asking when crafting performances for a scene, like how Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor have done. If anything, the exploration process in making those questions enriches the performances.